That's right, gang, we're back in the Vortex. Welcome back to Windblown. So I've been playing this a lot recently since the Revenge update, and especially since they added Endless mode, and it's come to my attention I haven't really explained or done an overview on it, so let's get into it. Now, I have done kind of like a intro to this video already in a separate video back when Windblown actually came out. I just kind of talked about it, said what I liked about it, said what was new about it, and really just explained what it is. But I want to dive into like actually what makes Windblown such an amazing early access game, because I really haven't felt like this for a game in early access in a long time. I don't even know the last game that it was, but genuinely this is such a good game, and apparently version 1.0 is set to release in 2026, so we've got another year to sit around and wait. But they're also going to be adding a new boss, maybe a couple new bosses, a brand new biome to go along with that boss, new skins, new items, and the sort. So you know, we have stuff to look forward to for this year, but next year is when version 1.0 is going to be released, and I'm super excited to see what kind of stuff they add. So let's jump into what Windblown has and why it keeps me coming back every single day to play more. So right off the bat, we have 17 weapons, we have 6 ranged weapons and 10 melee weapons and 1 shield. I'm just going to kind of put it in its own little category. It's a shield, it kind of just does its thing. But 2 of these that I know of, I'm sure there could be a 1 or 2, but I had to actually like go out of my way to really figure out why I don't have these 2 weapons yet. 2 of them are unlocked between actual unique scenarios or enemy encounters. I suppose 3 of them. So the boomerang you get by just beating the game for the first time. There are fiery claws, which I just found this out today. You get the fiery claws by beating the fire axolotl, the one of the 3 triplets at the very end. You beat him last and you get the fiery claws. And the alter attack is so cool. You jump up and slam down and release a bunch of his little like fiery heads that go out and burn the enemy. So I'm super excited to play around with this weapon more. And the third one is an umbrella, which shoots out gust tornadoes, which just continuously do damage, and the alt attack just you know does a triple burst and bursts out 3 tornadoes that do attack. It's very useful, very great for rezoning, and very great for continuous damage and area control. I used to be really biased when I started, but now I really like most of the weapons that are in the game. At the very beginning, there's the fillet knife, which is just the first weapon that you get. You eventually get the beat bolt, I believe, second. But I immediately cast both of these aside. I might go back to the beat bolt at some point, but honestly, the fillet knife has grown on me. I don't know what it is, but I find myself just slapping it on my secondary, so I don't have a ranged weapon, and I specifically use the fillet knife just to trigger my alt attack. So it's just a 3-hit combo, your alt attack's ready, and you can swap to whatever weapon you use. This is absolutely fantastic for like the eye blade or fiery claws if you want to hit out more fiery claws, or really just anything. You can just destroy so quickly if you just build up on alt attacks. But all of the items really make you play differently. It's almost like a different rhythm, because it takes some weapons a little bit longer for alt attacks, some a bit shorter. And then of course the range is completely different, especially with the ranged weapons themselves. Some of them have a lot longer range than others. The kunai, for example, has a lot longer range than the shurikens. And the kunai and the sirocco, both ranged weapons, the kunai applies debuffs for curses and the sirocco applies debuffs for burn. So some of them even come with their own debuffs. And the fillet knife I was mentioning earlier, the third strike is always a crit, so that allows some extra damage. And then the eye blade, which I mentioned earlier as well, is huge, large AoE swooping attacks on its alt attack. Very powerful, very easily used to clear out a lot of enemies. But the last hit on those, whether it's in that alt attack combo or the just regular combo, marks and crits everything that it hits. So I do obviously have some favorites. I mean, I'm gonna pick the Raven Blade over, you know, the Katars, and I'm in a constant like struggle between picking the Eye Blade over the Raven Blade sometimes. But even like I'm picking the fillet knife over certain melee or ranged weapons these days. But the Raven Blade is a fan favorite. It has an insane bay wheel type alt attack where it just jumps up in the air and spins around, lashes out, does a bunch of damage, and it's one of only a few weapons that has a special held attack. So you can hold attack for the Raven Blade, and it does a little jump up slam down. The only other weapon I can think off the top of my head right now is the anchor boom that has a held attack, and it shoots out a big old mortar that leaves a like an after burning effect on the ground in an AoE where it lands, on top of doing an insane amount of damage already. And then, as I mentioned, the fiery claws, I haven't used them for a full run just yet, but I'm super excited to use these, and I think I'm going to be, you know, trying to get these at every single chance I can and holding on to them even when they're a little bit lower leveled. So each stage that you go through, you can get weapon drops or trinket drops that have different levels. So they'll obviously do more damage, they'll have better stats, that kind of stuff. And then some of them do come with extra like flavors. And these flavor effects can, you know, add more debuffs. Like some will add burn, or some will add blast, or another keyword. Some will just flat out grant you HP. So we'll get to that stuff in a few. But if I want to hold on to those fiery claws, I might. Even if they're level 1 and I'm on like the 3rd stage and I just haven't gotten anything that, you know, is appetizing to me in that run, I might keep the fire claws. Who knows? As for ranged weapons though, it honestly changes per run. I don't don't have anything that I'm like actively seeking out, or oh, I wish I had this instead. I will say though, if I get the boomerang, it's really hard to just, you know, cast it aside and say I don't want to cheese it. I don't want to cheese this run, because if I get like the eye blade or the raven blade and then match that with the boomerang you can throw out, immediately press that same button to call it back and use your alter attack. It's absolutely overpowered. It's absolutely insane, because you just throw out the boomerang, call it back, and if you have the eye blade or raven blade, like I mentioned, when you're in those alter attacks, you have iframes. You are not able to get damaged, and you will just boom, 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 pull off your alter attack with zero problems whatsoever. So you just keep the boomerang out, keep it coming back, and hit your alter attack. You can't be hit. It's so cheesy. It's so awesome. But I will say also, the anchor boom, little clunky, huge damage though. And as I mentioned, it does have that extra held attack, but it's pretty easy to pull out the alter attack for that one too. You just 3-hit combo. The third hit has 3 cannonballs that come out, and then you can hit that alter attack. And then the alter attack for it, so when you're using a different weapon to trigger the alter attack, it shoots out 1. It's like a leap forward, and mind you, you're still in iframes, and then a huge blast out. It's awesome. So honestly, boomerang and anchor boom are like my top 2 ranged weapons. Huge honorable mentions to the kunai and the Sirocco though, because they do have those 2 built-in debuffs. I absolutely love them, and the Sirocco might be a little slow, might be a little chunky, but that burn is so powerful, and there's flavor that you can get on the Sirocco, or most of these weapons, that trigger an extra hit towards nearby enemies. If you get that with the Sirocco, you're throwing out multiple waves of damage and multiple waves of whatever the staff shoots out. I have no idea. Fireballs, I guess. And you could just fireball everything on the stage. It's very awesome. But the kunai applies curse, and at max curse stacks, you can press and hold the kunai attack button and then pull in all of that curse damage, or like all the curse stack, and it just does extra damage. I'm not sure if there's like a real bonus to this. I've seen myself gain extra damage as a result of, you know, killing somebody that's at full curse with the curse recall, but I'm not sure if that's like, you know, if that's a fact. Let me double check. Okay, no, it was just a coincidence one time. It just applies crit. So on from the weapons and all that good stuff, we have 14 trinkets ranging from bombs, turrets, on hit debuffs for a short period of time, or a laser. You honestly can't go wrong with any of these. I mean, there's one that's a turret, there's one that's just an AoE damage field around you, there's one that sucks in all nearby enemies and, you know, keeps them pinned, there's a frost bomb that just freezes everything. So the trinkets just feel really good, honestly. I mean, the only 2 trinkets that I'm just not a huge fan of are the burn aura and the bleed aura, because, you know, you trigger those and then it just adds extra bleed or burn to your weapons, and I haven't fully done like a bleed or burn build. It's something I kind of want to do. We're going to talk about gifts in a second, which is where this would really build into like an actual build. And there's gifts for specifically more bleed effects, and then gifts for specifically more burn effects, and increasing the effectiveness of each. Additionally, each trinket and weapon that's found throughout your Windblown adventure, your vortex journey, what have you, can come with like features or keywords to give it extra stat bonuses or just an extra debuff. So there's a lot of keywords in this game. We'll touch on a little bit. Some of them are fairly straightforward, but others may not be. So there's blast, focus, critical, bleed, burn, curse, goo, freeze, and then a couple of other things as well. And what blast does is, if a blast is triggered, it shoots out and does an AoE behind the thing that was hit, and also does an extra 20% damage to that person or that thing that was hit. Focus is just an extra 60% damage on your next hit, and then focus has a pretty similar thing called mark. Mark is, you know, pretty generic. It just marks an enemy. The next shot that they take will be 30 or 60% damage more. And then the only real different one here is goo, which apparently just like freezes them in place. It's just like a freeze bomb. It's just a little bit different. And then these trinkets and weapons can also come with other modifiers to their weapon damage or attack speed, but they can also give you stuff like max HP while you're holding it. And then finally, we'll go into the third type of actual consumables, power fish. So there's 3 power fish in this game right now, and they kind of act as an ultimate. They're like your no other option, saving grace. I'm going to use this to fight out this boss just because I don't think I can scrape by without it. There's one that just flat out makes you invincible for like 12 seconds. It's the bubble fish. It's just a full-on protector. You're invincible. You can still get knocked down, which is a little bit annoying, but you take this time to just run at the enemy and then just hit him with all your debuffs, hit him with all your big attacks at once. And then there's a boingo fish, or a jumping fish, and it allows you to run into it and form a jump attack on the nearest enemy, doing a lot of extra damage. And then my personal favorite is the gobbler. He just eats enemies, including bosses. Like you can gobbler fish the final boss of the game and just lay into the gobbler fish for like a couple seconds. It holds and just eats the enemy, and you can just lay out all the damage you can possibly do in the couple of seconds that it's been eaten. And eventually the gobbler fish spits it out.
You guys like gifts? You guys like custom builds? You guys like extra little
ways to play the game that's a little bit differently, and you can seek it out on your own, but it'll be a little bit different every run, and you'll never get exactly what you want. You'll never get the full build that you actually want, but you'll be so close. And custom game will probably be coming soon because it's in Dead Cells, so we'll probably get any Windblown upon the full release next year. But I'm talking about gifts, which are, I don't really know what to say. They're like aspects. They give you stuff. They give you buffs, and they change up your playstyle a wee bit. And these gifts offer unique passive buffs is more or less the words that I was looking for. Starting out, we get 3 slots, which can be upgraded to 4 thanks to our good old pal, that guy. We give him cogs at the beginning of the game. And you can unlock 2 more gift slots throughout the stage by using the in-run currency called shells. So you can have a total of 6. Now, in a perfect world, which we unfortunately don't live in, but we'd all pick out our alter attack gifts or our scythe gifts, or you know, our full burn build, full curse build, full trinket buffer, debuffer, kind of stuff like that. But custom builds are not a thing quite yet, but there's such a good amount of gifts catered to everything that you could ever want, honestly. Pretty much every single one of the aforementioned keywords get their own, like, gift build. Even mark, even dodge, even goo, you know, the sorts. There's also gifts that help with trinket cooldowns, you know, bonus effects on the trinkets, boost to trinkets, like extra burn, things that'll cut your cooldown time of trinkets. And some of my favorite gifts aren't even related to any of these at all. Midas is one of my favorite gifts and adds an extra 5% damage for every 100 shells you have, which are, you know, typically used to buy things in a shop, but there is no cap on this. So the less you spend, the more damage you'll do. Similarly, Balance increases your damage by 0.2% for every max HP point you have above the baseline. So baseline HP is 100%. These boosts that you can pick up, which we'll get to in a minute, these boosts can increase your max HP by 15 to 25 to 50 to 75 is the max I've seen so far. And again, zero cap on this. There's also a mechanic that you unlock after playing for a little bit called crystallizing. It's a little bit like alter attacks, and it's a new mechanic that you unlock after playing the game for a little bit. But crystallizing allows you to press a button when an enemy gets low. This has to be a bigger weapon. It's not going to be like the little minions that are running around. It allows you to execute them or crystallize them at low health. But there's a gift that allows you to crystallize every single enemy, doesn't matter the size. There's also a gift that'll grant you extra max damage every time you crystallize something. It's like an extra 2% damage every time you crystallize something. So that with the gift that crystallizes everything, you're just ramping up your max HP. That's all you're looking for. All you're looking for is just crystallizing. And there's even a gift that gives you 8 shield per crystallization. And there's also cursed gifts, by the way, which are like, you know, it gives you something, it gives you a lot of one thing and takes away a lot of another. There's one that I found, it gives you 12,000 shield, which is obviously non-regenerable, especially like even with health flasks and stuff, but it cuts your HP down to like 50 or 60. So in a sense, you become a glass cannon, but you just have a bunch of free health. It's just 12,000 extra shield that you can use, and I absolutely threw this run. I've only ever seen this one time. Pretty sure it was a gift. Obviously, after you pick up something like that, and there's a gift that basically just gives you a free life upon death. Those two are non-removable. I haven't seen another gift that's like this. I'm missing 3 gifts out of the 102 total, so I almost have everything. But as far as I know, those are the only 2 gifts that you cannot remove once they're picked up. Now, there's also a gift that increases the number of boosts that drop. So basically, these boosts are little capsules that you can get, and they increase your max HP, as I mentioned already, shells looted per stage, trinket cooldown, crit damage, overall damage. But I find myself just maxing my HP a lot of the time because I know I'm going to slip up, and I just like being able to tank a lot of damage. But there's a gift that makes these boosts drop whenever you beat an elite boss or like a mini boss, as well as a regular boss. So it's just extra stats it's just thrown at you. You know, there's also gifts that make it so you do more damage against bosses. So what are my final thoughts? I mean, as you can gather, I absolutely love Windblown. All of the commentary and stuff that was recorded for this video was done a week ago, and since then I've just been pretty much grinding it and trying to see if I can get all the rest of those gifts, which I have not seen, by the way. I've only seen one skin to unlock. Overall, I mean, I've been having an absolute blast playing Windblown this entire last week, and Endless has been an absolute amazing addition to the game, and I can't wait to see what they do upon release. I would love to stream this game in the future, so if you guys are interested, please let me know. I'll try to stream a little bit more often. I have not been streaming recently at all. It's been a really busy week for me, but please let me know what you think about this video. I had an absolute blast creating creating this video, scripting for it, talking to the camera about it. This is a really long video. I did not expect it to be this long. As overviews after my initial first thoughts have come out, these videos tend to take a little bit longer to make, which is why I've been holding off on a Spell Brigade video, and why the Vellum video, after a couple weeks since the launch came out, I did a video on that. And yeah, sorry, my words have been absolutely jumbled up. I don't know how to formulate my thoughts, because I haven't written them out for me to speak word for word, which I don't typically do that anyway. It's really hard for me to stick to a script anyway. So if you've made it this far in the video, I truly appreciate it. Please leave a comment and let me know what you think. Let me know what kind of stuff you're looking for in the future. If there's anything you'd like me to hit again or talk about again. I absolutely love revisiting most of the games that I've played, because obviously I wouldn't have played those games if I didn't actually enjoy them, and let alone make a video on them. So once again, I can't believe this video is as long as it is, but I absolutely love Windblown, and over this past week that I've been playing and getting footage for it, I've been just absolutely falling in love with it over again. So if you want to see a stream of this, I would be so down for this, and I honestly would have streamed it this last week, but I just did not have enough time. So if you're wondering where I'm at, check out the links in the description below. I mean, I got a podcast going on, I got a second channel going on, I show up on some streams here and there on some other folks' channels. I don't stream a lot myself, because I try to focus more on my YouTube stuff, like the actual videos, but I make sure to do my best to add everybody in that Discord and just shoot a message and saying where I'm at if I'm live with somebody else, so you can drop in and say hi. So I think that's about going to do it for me for today. I hope you've enjoyed, and please check out all my other stuff. It's typically linked in the description below, but overall, great stuff happening on the Overstock channel. And sorry, I'm stuttering and stammering over my words here. I'm trying to talk. I'm trying to get my point across, and it's sometimes it happens well and sometimes it doesn't. So have a wonderful rest of your day, wonderful rest of the week, wherever we will see you next.